This is Miss Anna, and I want to tell you about a story. A very specific story that is being told right now in therapists' offices and girlfriend group chats and comment sections and late-night phone calls between women who love each other and are trying to make sense of marriages that are quietly falling apart. The story goes like this. She tried everything. She communicated. She expressed her needs clearly and repeatedly. She did the work, read the books, listened to the podcasts, sat across from the therapist and said the things she was supposed to say in the way she was supposed to say them. She showed up. She kept showing up, and he just was not there. Emotionally unavailable, checked out, going through the motions of a marriage while being genuinely present in none of it. She is exhausted. She is lonely inside a marriage that is supposed to be companionship. She is doing everything right and getting nothing back, and the conclusion she has reached, the conclusion that everyone around her has affirmed, is clear. He is the problem. He is the distant one, the one who will not open up, the one who sits in the same room and exists somewhere else entirely, the one who, if she is being honest, she does not really know anymore. The one who stopped trying first or never really tried at all, depending on which version of the story she is telling and who she is telling it to. And the people around her nod, of course. That sounds exhausting. You deserve better. You have done everything you could. And she walks away from every one of those conversations feeling validated and seen and still completely, utterly stuck. Because validation is not the same as truth. And the story everyone is agreeing with is missing something. Something significant. Something that, if she were willing to look at it directly, would not just explain the marriage she is in, but hand her the only tool that actually has the power to change it. What it is missing is him. Not the villain she has constructed from the evidence she selected. The actual man. The one who was there before the distance was. The one who used to be warm and present and genuinely invested in her and in what they were building together. The one who did not arrive in her life already checked out. The one who became that way inside a marriage she was also building. That man is not a villain. And the story that has been told about this marriage will never produce a different ending until she is willing to accept that. Let me start with what emotional unavailability actually is, because I do not think most wives understand what they are describing when they use that phrase. Emotional unavailability is the end state. It is not the beginning of a man's character. It is the conclusion of a process. A long, slow, often invisible process that began somewhere specific and built toward the wall she is now standing in front of, wondering how it got there. The man she married was not emotionally unavailable. She knows this because she married him, because something about the way he was then made her say yes to a life with him. He was present in a way that mattered to her. He communicated, maybe not in the vocabulary she would have chosen, but in the language available to him. He showed up. He reached for her. He invested in the relationship with the genuine engagement of a person who believed the investment was going somewhere. And then, at some point, he stopped. Not all at once, gradually, by degrees so small that each individual retreat was easy to miss or easy to explain away or easy to attribute to external stress, to work, to tiredness, to the ordinary pressures of adult life that everyone is managing. But the retreats accumulated, and the man she is describing now, the distant one, the checked-out one, the one she cannot reach, is the product of accumulated retreats that each made sense in the moment they happened. The question she is not asking is what produced them, not as an excuse for him, not as a transfer of blame from one party to another, as genuine inquiry into the origins of a dynamic she is suffering inside and wants to change. What produced the retreats? I am going to describe something that happens in marriages so commonly it should be considered ordinary. But it is so ordinary that it has become invisible. In the beginning, he brings his full self to this marriage. His opinions, his preferences, his perspective on how things should be done and what decisions should be made and what direction the life they are building should move in. He brings all of it because he is a partner and partners contribute, and he genuinely believes his contribution matters. And then something starts to happen. His opinions get managed, not dismissed dramatically, managed. She has a way of engaging with his perspective that is technically responsive but functionally redirecting. She hears what he says and then explains, patiently and thoroughly, why the thing she already wanted to do is actually the better option. She invites his input and then demonstrates with a consistency that becomes its own kind of communication that the input is welcome only insofar as it arrives at the conclusion she has already reached. He notices this. He does not name it. Men rarely name these things in the early stages because naming them feels like starting a fight over something that sounds small when you say it out loud. So he adjusts. He starts bringing less, not nothing, just less than everything. He begins to filter what he offers based on what he has learned will be received versus what will be managed. He is not being dishonest. He is being efficient. He is making the rational adaptation of a person who has received consistent information about which of his contributions are genuinely wanted. She does not notice the adjustment immediately, and when she does notice it, she does not connect it to anything she did. She connects it to him. He is becoming less communicative, less engaged. She starts to mention it. She expresses her frustration that he does not share his thoughts the way he used to, that he seems disengaged, that she cannot get him to really talk to her anymore. He hears this and experiences something that does not have a clean name. She is asking for the thing she trained him to stop offering. She is frustrated by the outcome of a process she set in motion, and she does not see the connection between the two. He does not tell her, because telling her is the kind of conversation that goes badly in the specific way that has taught him to filter what he brings to her. So he says he is fine. He says he is just tired. He says everything is okay and adds one more brick to the wall she will later stand in front of wondering how it got there. Now I want to talk about the ways she experiences his retreat and what she does with it, because this is where the story diverges from the one being told. She experiences his retreat as abandonment, as him withdrawing something she is owed, as a failure of his commitment to the marriage that she did not do anything to produce and is therefore not responsible for addressing. And from inside her experience of it, that interpretation is completely understandable. She can feel the distance. She can feel the warmth that is no longer in the room. She can feel herself reaching for a connection that keeps not quite arriving. That is real. That is painful. And the pain of it is genuine, regardless of what produced it. But the interpretation she has placed on top of that pain, that he is the source of the problem rather than a person also responding to a dynamic between them, that interpretation is costing her the only perspective that could actually change anything. Because if he is simply broken, if emotional unavailability is just who he is and what he does, then she is a victim of his character and the only options available to her are endurance or exit. But if his emotional unavailability is a response, if it developed inside a dynamic that she is part of, if it is the predictable end state of years of small retreats that each made sense in context, then she is not a helpless observer. She is a participant. And participants have influence that victims do not have. She has influence over this marriage that she is not using because the story she is telling herself does not include her as someone with influence. It includes her as someone things are being done to. And that story, however validating it feels, is the most expensive fiction available inside a marriage. Let me draw the picture of the man she has forgotten exists underneath the one she is describing. He is still in there. I want to say that clearly because I think it is the most important thing in this entire conversation. The checked out man, the distant one, the one she does not recognize anymore. He is a layer, a specific adaptation built over time in response to a specific environment. And beneath that layer is the man who chose her, who stood across from her and meant what he said, who was genuinely excited about the life they were going to build together. He did not stop caring. He stopped showing the caring because showing it became too expensive in the specific currency this marriage required. The currency of his voice being genuinely heard, of his preferences actually mattering, of his presence being welcomed rather than immediately recruited into whatever the current need was. That man is not performing distance. He is protecting what is left of himself in the only way available to him inside the environment he is living in. The phone, the garage, the specific quality of absence that looks like being checked out, these are not character. They are shelter. Take away the need for shelter and watch what comes out from behind it. She has seen it. On the occasional weekend when the pressure lifts and the house is calm and nobody needs anything for a few hours and he sits next to her and is suddenly, inexplicably, the man she married. She notices it and feels the grief of the contrast. The distance of the ordinary days measured against the presence of this rare one. She does not ask what produced the difference. She does not connect the calm environment to the man who emerged inside it. She files it as evidence that he is capable of being present when he wants to be, which confirms that his usual absence is a choice rather than a response. She has it exactly backward. His presence on those rare days is not proof that his usual distance is a choice. It is proof that the distance is an adaptation to an environment that occasionally, briefly, becomes something different. And in the window when it is different, he comes out. That is the evidence she is misreading. And misreading it is costing her the marriage she says she wants. Here is what I want to say to every wife who has been telling the villain story about her husband. Not because he is perfect, not because everything he has done inside this marriage has been right, and nothing he has done warrants examination, but because the villain story, however satisfying it feels, however many people have agreed with it, is not producing the marriage you say you want. If it were, you would not still be searching for answers. You would not be watching this video at whatever hour you found it, with the particular hunger of a woman who has been validated extensively and helped very little. The validation did not help you because you did not need more agreement. You needed more truth. Here is the truth. The man you are describing did not arrive in your life the way you are describing him. He became that inside a marriage that you were building alongside him. And the ways he became that, the specific retreats and withdrawals and adaptations that produce the man you are frustrated by, are connected to things that happen between you in ways that you have not been willing to examine because examining them requires accepting a role in this story that is more complicated than the one you have been telling. You are not the villain either. I want to say that clearly. This is not an exercise in replacing one villain with another. Both of you are people who entered something with genuine intention and built something together that neither of you fully chose and neither of you fully understands. But understanding it, even partially, begins with the willingness to ask a different question. Not what is wrong with him. What did we build together that produced what we are both living inside of now? That question is harder. It requires more of you. It does not offer the clean comfort of a verdict. But it opens the only door available in a marriage that has run out of progress on the path it has been on. Let me tell you what happens in marriages where the wife asks that different question. She does not immediately fix everything. It does not resolve in a single conversation or a single changed behavior or a single moment of honest reckoning. It is slower than that, and messier than that and requires more sustained patience than anyone wants to hear when they are in pain. But something shifts when she stops treating his retreat as a verdict on his character and starts treating it as information about the environment they have built. She starts making different choices inside that environment. Small ones, at first. She meets him at the door without the immediate need. She lets a silence be a silence without filling it with grievance. She engages with his perspective, the rare times he offers it, as something worth receiving rather than something to be redirected. And he notices, not dramatically, quietly. The nervous system of a man who has been braced against an environment notices when the environment shifts. The shoulders that were carrying the weight of a home that cost him constantly begin, incrementally, to drop. He does not announce this. He does not say, "I notice you have changed and I would like to reciprocate." He simply begins, by degrees as small as the ones by which he retreated, to come back. The opinion offered without being asked. The moment of warmth that was not extracted but simply arrived. The evening where he is fully in the room rather than somewhere behind his eyes. She sees it and she thinks she got lucky. She found a good one after all. She did not find a different man. She built a different environment. And a different environment called the man back, who the old one had been quietly pushing out for years. He was never the villain. He was a man adapting to what he was living inside. Change what he is living inside, and you change what the adaptation needs to be. That is not a small thing. That is the whole thing. Here is what I want you to carry away from this. The story you have been telling, the one where he is checked out and unavailable and the marriage is dying because of who he fundamentally is, that story is not helping you. It has not helped you. It will not help you. Because a story that locates all the agency in the person you have cast as the problem leaves you with none of your own, and you have agency. More than you know, more than the villain story allows you to believe. The man you married is still inside the man you are frustrated by, not as a fantasy, not as the naive hope of a woman who refuses to see clearly, but as a real person who is still there beneath the layers that the years built over him. He is reachable, not through more communication about what he is not giving you, not through the expression of more needs that arrive before he has finished closing the door. Through the patient, consistent, unglamorous work of building an environment that makes it safe for him to come out. That work is yours to do, not because it is fair, not because he has done everything right and deserves the effort without having to earn it, but because you are the one watching this video. You are the one who found this conversation. You are the one who is still searching for something that the validation was never going to give you. You already know the villain story does not have a good ending. Try a different story. One where you are not a victim and he is not a villain, and the marriage you actually want is still possible if someone is willing to build toward it. Be that someone. This is Miss Anna, and I will be back with more of what nobody else will say. Subscribe if you are ready to keep hearing it.